Well, student, good evening to all of you. So today is our revision class of MEd second paper according to the Punjabi University Patiala. So I hope you have given a first paper, very well. So guys, we'll discuss the last year paper. Okay. This is about your date sheet. You know that first paper you have given. Okay. Second paper is scheduled on 22nd, Psychology of Learning and Development. Okay. So directly I go to, PDF file, which I have sent. So this is your, last year paper. So I, increase this size. Psychology of Learning and Development. Is it readable to all of you? Yeah, should I, increase the size?
Yes, sir, we can. We
You
can
can.
enlarge it.
Okay. I little bit I enlarge. Okay. So this is a section A. This is the last year paper I'm discussing because you will get the idea. Okay, what type of questions would come in your, second exam in the second paper. This is the last year paper. So in a section A, the first question is explain meaning, step, merits and demerits of experimental method of psychology, right? So first of all, see the questions. Okay. So is it readable to all of you? Huh? Okay. Second is discuss Bruner's theory of cognitive development. Right, guys? Okay, you can message. Okay, if you are getting of if it is readable to all of you. Third question is discuss Gene hierarchy of learning with examples. Okay. So guys, here actually what I want to say you, I just want to say you have to read the question paper first very carefully, right? Because of that, it doesn't mean when suppose 2 o'clock Hana, you get the paper and you start writing. First of all, you have to see the questions. Okay, what type of questions has come. Read the paper one time, two time, three times. Okay, what the question is saying, right? And basically you know that online exams you are giving, and only 50% questions you have to attempt, right guys? So I just want to say that attempt the questions which can be stretched. You can stretch the question. Okay, for example, in a section A, I'm talking about section A. In a section A, the number one question is explain meaning, steps, merits, demerits of experimental method of psychology. Second question is discuss Bruner theory of cognitive development with its implications. Third question is discuss Gene hierarchy of learning with example. And fourth question is explain concept of causes of inter and intra individual differences. Okay, see on the top, right? What I want to say, first learn question, then select. That you have to do attempt 2 questions from section A and 2 from section B, right? So what I want to say that means you have to attempt that question which you can stretch, which is easy sometime, because I have got the message, I've got the call, sometime, in last exam, student chose a, different kind of a question. Okay, for example, in here section A, suppose 4 question comes. Okay, which question you will choose? According to me, I just want to tell you, okay, if I have to choose me, okay, I will choose the question paper, question number 1. Explain meaning, steps, merits and demerits of experimental method of psychology, and second, Bruner theory of a cognitive development, right? Because these are very easy, okay, and you can easily stretch. For example, okay, you choose the question, one question from any of out of a 3, and you choose the second question of inter and intra individual differences. Okay, means you cannot write in detail about inter and intra individual differences. Okay, but when you choose the question number one, so up, look at the question number one, you can write a lot of things. You can write meaning of experimental method of psychology. Then you can write steps of experimental method. Then you can write merits of experimental method, demerits of experimental method, right guys? And at the end you have to write in 4 or 5 lines about the conclusion, right? So here I just want to say that first you have to read the question paper 1 time, 2 time, 3 time, at least 5 minutes. Okay, 4 5 minutes read your paper, then select which questions you can attempt to well, which question there are more headings, which questions you can stretch, right guys? Because you have got a, you can say favor from the university. Only in a 2.5 hour you have to fill the 16 sheets. Okay, and in fact after that you have a 1 hour. Okay, but I'm taking class of a med from last 12 to 14 years. Every time before the corona, when the exams happens offline, students had to fill the 36 pages in a 3 hours, right guys? So it is a very easy one, but selection, it should be such type. You have to select that question which can be stretched, right? So these are the 8 questions. This is the last year paper. We will discuss each and every question, the answer of each question in our PDF file. Okay, first we learn the question. Okay, so four questions we have already read. And section B. Section B may it is talking about discuss different techniques of a personality assessment. Okay. Second, what do you mean by I have highlighted so that now you will come to know. Okay. Now I have highlighted. Okay. Uh, Second is what do you mean by motivation? Explain types of motivation with example. Third question is, or seventh question is, suggest various strategies of promoting mental health of students and teachers. And last is explain organizational stress. Also write strategies to cope up with stress. Cope up with stress. So guys, if such kind of a question comes, all the four are very easy and all the four are stretchable. You can stretch, you can select anyone. When you talk about different techniques of a personality assessment, know that there are 3 techniques: a subjective, projective, and objective technique, right? And when we have to talk about, for example, you opt, what do you mean by motivation? Explain types of motivation with example. So here you have to see how much you have to elaborate about the motivation and how much you have to elaborate about the types of motivation with example. Okay, for example, you have to write this question. Okay, answer of this question, and that you have to write in the 4 pages, right? So guys, what you have to do first, you have to define the motivation. This is the motivations about 5 or 6 lines. Even you can give the 1 or 2 definitions of motivation, but maximum up to 70%, 75%, 2.5 pages, 2 pages, you have to define about types of motivation, right? Intrinsic motivations and extrinsic motivations, right? Okay, because I have discussed this thing in my all the lectures of med, and you have to give example. And I have already told you this thing also, at least spare the 4 or 5 lines in last for conclusion also, right? You can make the heading of conclusion. Okay, then you have to write conclude whatever you have written above. Okay, means I want to say the more you will make the point, the more you underline the point, the more you stretch your answer, the more marks you will get, right? The less you will write, you will get very less marks. So guys, try to select the question which is stretchable. Okay, अब ये देखो Seventh question is suggest various types of promoting mental health of a student and teachers. Okay, you can also stretch it, right? You have to talk about the mental health. What is a mental health? Okay, how the strategies of a mental health of the students and teacher. And in the last organizational, it is talking about the organizational stress, why acute stress and others, organizational stress. And you have to write the strategies to cope up with stress, right? So these 8 questions. Okay, I don't go for the ninth one question, because in the ninth question section C, in ninth may there are short 10 questions now. So if you attempt all the 10 questions, then it makes a one long question. So it would be better, out of 8 questions you have to attempt 4 questions. Okay, right guys? So I directly open my PDF file of last year paper, which I have sold the paper for you. Okay guys, so we start from here first. Okay, now it is readable now to all of you. Okay, I have increased the size of this PDF file. So last time the question came, number 1, explain meaning, steps, merits and demerits of experimental method of psychology. It is a very easy method. Okay, first of all you have to talk about the experimental method. It is a most scientific method and objective method. Okay, and you have to talk about experimental, it is talk about cause and effect. Okay, when you have to check the cause and effect, suppose due to the demand rising in price, cause and effect. If the student is giving 6 hours in a study, so what will be the effect of academic achievement? So such type of cause and effect kind of study you have to do. So then you use the experimental method. Okay, so first you have to define about the experimental method, define the steps also. Okay, this is a most important. Okay, steps are also is almost same to all the research. The first is raising a problem, right? Step of experimental method. Yeah, any other method, historical method, right? And first is raising a problem. Okay, we have to choose a problem. What is a problem? Then we have to make a formulation of a hypothesis. Then we have to make a hypothesis. Okay, what is a hypothesis? In a research we have done now, hypothesis is a tentative solution, right? But we make that, whether it would be done, what would be the effect of that. The third is make distinction between independent and dependent variable. When you select any of the topic, so then you have to choose that what is the dependent and what is the independent variable. Okay, for example, too much smoking, okay, effects on the health, right? So in these, you have to choose the what is a dependent variable, what is a independent variable kind of. You have to take according to the context of your topic, right? And then controlling the situational variables, analysis of results. After getting the data, you have to analyze the result. And last May, what you did, you verify your hypothesis, whether it accepts according to your statement or it rejects your statement. Okay, these are the steps of the experimental method. Then guys, you have to talk about merits of experimental method. Merits, it is a systematic procedure of studying a problem. This method enables accurate observation. It is a scientific method. Accurate observations due to the control conditions. Okay, it obtained, results are valid and reliable. Okay, means when you conduct an experimental method, okay, as compared to other method, these results are more valid and reliable. It provides adequate information about the problem. Okay, in a merit you have to give 7 or 8 points, okay, or 10 points. Then demerits mein kya hota hai? This method, it is a costly and time consuming, and always it is conducted in the laboratory. There is a need of a laboratory, there is a need of equipments, these all the demerits of the experimental method. You have to write 8 or 10. Okay, yay 4 things it is asked by the examiner. Okay, next the question is, what is the Brunner theory of cognitive development? Right, guys, we have already discussed in our classes also. Okay, cognitive development theories of cognitive development. Two theories are in our syllabus. One is Piaget theory of cognitive development, right? And second is Brunner theory of cognitive development. Okay, this is the last year question, and last year question came. We have to discuss about Brunner theories of cognitive development. So it is like same with the Piaget theory of a development. That difference is that Piaget talks about the four stages of a cognitive development. Do you remember now? First is sensory motor stage, up to the last concrete stage, right? But Brunner talks about the three modes of a representation. It talks about inactive representations, iconic and symbolic. Okay, under the cognitive development theory, which was given by the Brunner, you have to talk about these three things. Okay, inactive means if the age of baby is 0 to 1 years. Okay, so then you have to talk about what kind of activity he does according to the Brunner theory of a cognitive development, right? For example, like thinking is entirely based on the physical action, and infant learning by doing, because in the child cannot speak, symbolic, he doesn't know. So everything is entirely is on the physical actions. Okay, so first iconic 1 to 6 year. If the baby reaches on 1 to 6 year, between the 1 to 6 year, okay, you have to define, okay, what are the activities is done by the baby, right, by the child, because it is a child development theory. Now cognitive development, symbolic. Next is symbolic after 7 years. Okay, so these three things you have to define. Along with that, you have to define Brunner's constructive approach, right? Means Brunner has given a theory. Now what is the outcome of theory? He has given a theory. So outcome of the theory is that, and yeah, educational implication, you can say that educational implication is that learning is an active process. Learning selects and transformation information, right? Learner use prior experience to fit new informations into pre-existing structure. It is also talking about the schema, if you remember, which we did in the this Piaget theory of a cognitive development. What is a schema? Schema means when a child, when a baby saw the dog, for example, he has in his mind dog has 4 legs and furry. So after that, when he encounters to a big dog, immediately he comes to know that this is a dog, because he has an image in his mind. Means new information, whatever he is getting, new information, he clarifies that information with the pre-existing schema, pre-existing knowledge. Okay, then relate that. If information matches, then he learns. So this is the learning objective. Whenever you have to teach to your student, you have to relate the information with the previous chapter. Okay, right? So such kind of a you can write the educational implications of a Brunner theory, right? Okay, for these are the teaching according to the age and development of the student. Okay, try to teach according to the age and development of the student. Suppose you have to teach to the 7th class, okay, and you have learned the lecture, but you have to think that tomorrow you have to go, you have to interact with the mind of 13 years, 14 years children, right? According to the 7th class student, you have to come one step down, and then you have to teach according to their mental level, right? And whenever you have to teach, it should be based upon the previous knowledge. Okay, sometimes teachers comes in the class and start teaching, he is not relating. So these are all educational implications of Brunner theory you have to write. Okay, guys. Now, next questions came last year. Discuss GANE. It is pronounced GANE, G-A-G-N-E, GANE, hierarchy of learning with example. So GANE bhi kya hua? GANE, he was an American educational psychologist. He gave the, this hierarchy of learning. Okay, means you can say that, 8 things GANE has given, 8 type of a learning, starting from signal learning. Okay, C at the bottom. signal, stimulus, chaining, verbal, multiple, concept, rule, problem solving, right? So he has given such type of a hierarchy of a learning, a type of a learning. Okay, he has given out of a type of a learning, he is bifurcated. Lower type of four types of a learning: signal. Okay, see in the picture: signal, stimulus, chaining, and verbal. Okay, these four types of learning corresponds to behavioral aspect. Okay, and other multiple description, multiple discrimination, concept of learning, rule learning, problem solving. It is related with the cognitive aspect. This is a higher level of a learning, right? Okay, okay. See at the stimulus response in a we have done with the dogs. One experiment conducted with the dog. Na what was he was conducted by the one Russian psychologist, है ना? So so this is a stimulus response learning, like Thorndike theory of learning, trial and error theory, है ना? You have done in MEd and B.Ed also, Thorndike theory of a learning, and yes, these are all behavioral learning, behavioral aspect, and cognitive aspect. These four are the cognitive aspect. So if you have to basically in these questions you have to talk about all the 8 types of a hierarchy which was given by the Gane, right? So this is a one is a signal learning. Okay, see this, you have to explain stimulus response learning, chain learning, right? Verbal association. फिर उसके बाद next four, okay, next four higher order of a learning. Okay, discriminant learning, concept based learning. Okay, so then uske baad rule learning, then problem solving learning. A type of learning you have to define under this topic, Gane hierarchy of learning. Okay, or then you can educational implications. Okay, you can you also have to give, right? So these are the educational implication. It is a simple one. Okay, you can read from here. Okay, the next question, fourth questions came: explain concept and causes of inter and intra individual differences. Right, guys? So here you have to, first of all, you have to talk about inter individual difference. Then you have to talk about intra individual difference. What is inter individual difference? Inter means between the two person, right? There is a difference between the two person. It is called inter individual difference. Means difference in thought, difference in aptitude, difference in attitude, difference in interest, and a lot of difference. Even twins are not unique, they have a different pattern, different attitude, aptitude. So here we have to understand what is inter individual difference, what is intra individual difference. Inter individual difference means difference between two person, right? And what is a intra individual difference? Intra individual difference means difference in the same person when he is assessed by, he is observed by multiple times on a different situation. Okay, for example, when we meet a new person, we show our attitude, we talk with a very nice way, but sometimes when we are in the in our home and other things, okay, we show different kind of attitude. So intra individual difference means the difference between us, difference of a different activities when it is observed by, assessed by different time of the same person. Okay, but inter individual difference means difference between the two person, right? Then you have to talk about causes of individual difference. What are the causes of individual difference? Heredity, environment, such type of, these are the then you have to talk about causes of heredity. This is the causes of individual difference. Some are sharp, some students are sharp, some are intelligent, some are average because of the heredity, sometimes, but because of the environment also plays an important role. right? Sex, age, education. If the one student has got a very good education with the, very good nourishment, if he has got, so definitely it also becomes the reason for the individual differences, right? Self, culture, abnormality, right? And along with these questions, you have to define the educational implications of an individual difference. Okay, means how the education contributes for the individual difference. Okay, means the teacher should use the different method according to the level of the student. Okay, these are all the things you have to define in this. Okay, then next fifth question came, discuss the different techniques of a personality assessment. Okay, Matlab here guys, you have to talk about what are the different techniques for assessing the personality of the children. Okay, so basically there are three methods you have to define: subjective, objective, and projective, right? What comes in the subjective method, what comes in objective method, what comes in projective method, you have to explain by making heading. For example, in a subjective method, under a subjective method, there are four types of, it includes four things. Autobiography, it is a subjective method. Okay, the case history, interview, questionnaire, right? Means these all are, these are very easy now. These all things, these are methods for assessing the personality of the person. For example, you are taking an interview of the child, one counselor is taking the interview of the child. So what the counselor is assessing? The personality. If you want to assess the personality of a person, how you can assess? By giving a questionnaire, by checking the case history, by by interview. So these all four are called subjective method, right? So these are easy one, huh? And when now we move to the objective method. This is the objective method. Objective method means the method of observed or unobserved, huh? Rating scale, scale wise, when you give the rating based upon, okay, so 1 or 2 points are under the objective method. And under the projective method mein you have to talk about the Rorschach test. Okay, yeah, this is the important, and it is a very easy test. Okay, you have done in B.Ed also, the Rorschach ink blot test, it is a one page. When ink was on the page, was for on the page. So when it is shown to every student, okay, show this page, okay, what you look like that. Okay, so different students gives a different answer. So under the projective method, you have to talk about Rorschach ink blot test, thematic appreciation test, and children appreciation perception test, right guys? So isko ek bar aap pad lena. Okay, these are very easy one. Okay, we have already discussed in our previous videos also. Okay, you can check the videos also guys, right? Okay, okay, the next questions come, what do you mean by motivation? Explain the types of motivation. If this questions come, it is a very much easy. You have to talk about the motivation. Then you have to talk about the two types of a motivation: intrinsic motivation and extrinsic motivation. Along with this, means maximum up to 80%, up to the 3 pages. Okay, you define about this thing, but half pages, or you can talk about the educational implications. Yeah, you can say how the teacher can inculcate motivation among students. It definitely you have to write. Okay, right? So see the answer. First about the motivation has described. You can give one or definitions of the motivations, right? Then types of motivation. One is intrinsic, one is extrinsic motivation. Intrinsic means internal. Uh, Extrinsic motivation means external motivation. We motivated by the external forces. Okay, so strategies of enhancing motivation among students. I talked, how the teacher inculcate motivation among students, or what are the strategies of enhancing motivation among students. Both are same thing. Okay, you can make the heading by yourself, but this thing you have to explain. If the question of motivation comes, this is the most important thing. Okay, strategy of enhancing motivation among students means give students a sense of control, right? Be clear about the learning objective, create a threat-free environment in the class. So guys, why it is important? Because of that, you know, after doing the doing B.Ed or M.Ed, we become a teacher. So basically, the job of teacher is not to whatever he has you know learned from the book and start teaching to the student. Okay, the teacher should be motivator. The teacher should act as a stimulator. Okay, student will learn by their self. Don't think that. Okay, malab you are the cause for increasing the IQ level of the student. Okay, don't think that. What is the purpose of a teacher? What is the you know duty of the teacher? The job of the teacher, the job of a teacher is to guide the student. Okay, you can motivate the student with your teaching style. You can motivate the teacher by your teaching methods. Okay, if you get such kind of if you give encouragement to the student, motivation to the student will learn automatically. Okay, don't think that only your job is up to the syllabus. Okay, attitude matters also, because studies say that many research say that due to the wrong method of the teacher, students become weak, right? Due to the wrong attitude of the teacher, student gets weak, right? So this also depends. Due to you become the cause for the uh, students becomes weak. Okay, so you have to not only teach content matter, you have to teach to the students. Along with that, okay, you have to motivate the students by different techniques. For example, give students a sense of control, be clear about learning objective, create a threat free environment. Okay, once you are teaching in the class, you're teaching to any of the person. Okay, guys, give democratic environment to the student. Every student should ask and uh, question yourself. Okay, change your scenery. Change your scenery means not every time indulge in, okay, you have to go and start teaching, right? And take different activities. Okay, different times. Okay, because it is a med. After doing the med, you become the principal. Okay, the job of a principal basically is a administrator. Okay, well, now on that position, the less you have to teach, the more you have to manage. Hana? The more you have to manage your school after becoming a principal. Hana? So means so different type of activities. Okay, you have to show to your staff and others. Offered varied experiences. Use positive competitions. So these are all are strategies of promoting the motivation. Okay. The second last question is, suggest various strategies of promoting mental health of a student and teacher. Okay, so here you have to talk about the mental health. Okay, you can give the one definitions of it. WHO, World Health Organization, has said about mental health is a state of well-being in which an individual realizes his own abilities, can cope up with normal stresses of life, can work productively, and is able to make a contribution to his community, right? And what are the strategies for promoting the strategies for promoting the mental health of a student and teacher? Reconnect to your purpose, adopt a growth mindset in your teaching, focus on kindness and gratitude, create clear boundaries between home and school. So these are the simple points, 8 or 10 points you have to define about. And in last you can talk about characteristics of a good mental health, right? The last question is explain organizational stress and also write the strategies to cope up with stress, right? So here you have to talk about the stress. Stress can be defined as any type of change that causes physical, emotional or psychological strain. है ना? Sometimes mostly to psychologically hota hai na, it comes psychologically stress. So it is talking about organizational stress. So you have to talk about the organizational stress. This kind of a stress is stress, acute stress, chronic stress. Okay, these are all four of types of organizational stress. What are the signs of stress? Okay, when the stress comes, what would be the signs? What would be the sign? Hana? change in mood, है ना, when the stress comes, decrease this diarrhea, this, these all the points I've written. Now we have to talk about here, we have to talk about more and more about strategies to cope up with stress. Okay, so these are the points you have to write. Learn to recognize the sign of burnout, try to get regular exercise, take care of yourself, practice mindful in your life, you know reframe your thought, shift excitement, build regular exercises, eat well, and limit alcohol, and this kind of. So these are simple general points, even you can add up by yourself also in this all. What are the strategies to cope up with the stress, right guys? So we have discussed all the 8 questions which came in the last year paper. So guys, definitely these questions will help you, will give you the idea. Okay, such type of a questions would come, and but you have to attempt only 4 questions, right guys? So regarding the date sheet, that Hana, on the 22nd you have to appear for the psychology of learning and development subjects. Okay guys, thank you so much, best wishes to all, right? You got the idea, and I have given this PDF to you. Okay, you can get this idea. Thank you so much guys. So have any query, you can discuss with me. Okay guys.